Hey guys, this morning I'm going to take you on a quick walk around of these two bikes and take a look at some of the things that I think are weak points on the bike or things that might need to be upgraded as soon as you bring it home or even before you leave the dealership. Let's take a look. First thing is going to be handguards. If you take a look at these handguards, they're just plastic handguards. I know my 1190, the first time I dropped this thing broke and I ended up breaking off the tip of my lever. So make sure you get handguards on order stat. As far as risers go in the position, I felt really good on the bike. I probably would move these risers to the closer position. As you can see, there's multiple positions here on the bars, so you can actually move the bars closer towards you. I would probably do some sort of spacer or riser here to either get me an extra inch, or I'd swap out these bars to a medium adventure bar. That would give me the perfect height of the bar that I would want for the standing position. I actually really like the windscreen on the R model. It came up just to the right height and allowed me to have just a really good wind block that still allowed me to be able to see over the screen and to have a lot of visibility, if you will. I think it's kind of lame that they cheesed out on the adventure model mirrors. We went to a round mirror here instead of a more street-oriented mirror. I mean, as soon as you fall over, these things are toast anyway, so I don't know why they'd put one mirror on one versus a different one on the other. I like the visibility of the standard adventure mirror better than the visibility on the R mirror. That's just personal preference though. I am really surprised that they went with a cable clutch instead of a hydraulic clutch. I mean, that's one thing on my 1190R that I really like is the ease of how that clutch pulls in. The fact that cables get gummed up and they stop working the way that they should, I think that's kind of a bummer. Now, if you notice, these bikes have steering stabilizers down here at the bottom. As on my 1190, that stabilizer is not so great, so you're probably going to want to swap that out for a true steering stabilizer up top, whether it's a Fastway or a Scott's or something like that. A dampener out there would be a great addition to this motorcycle. These rings right here are really interesting. So these are going to take the wind, and the wind that's going to come up here and what would travel up through this fork tunnel area and get onto your person is being deflected away by this wind deflector right here. I'm curious to see how that holds up and how that actually works over time. Yet to be determined. We'll see. Moving down, skid plate. I mean, this is a really flimsy guard, if you will. I don't think that would protect you from anything that's going to come up and hit. Now, that being said, it comes around to these soft plastic guards that are really flexible. If you ride in any mud at all, you're definitely going to get mud that's going to go down and get caught in between this plastic, and the fact that it doesn't have really any venting in between these two pieces, I would imagine that we would have seen a cutout down here at the bottom, so you could at least spray a hose down in here to clean out mud and debris and things that are going to fall down in between the fuel tank and this guard. Now, this guard's really flimsy. For this gas tank being basically the crash guards on this motorcycle, I'm really surprised. I mean, this is not as robust as I thought it would be. It's definitely a lot thinner than the Safari tank that I have on my 950 Super Enduro. I just don't know. I'm really skeptical about this plastic gas tank hanging down and being the thing that we crash onto rocks. I know that they put this guard here that obviously already has some rubbing that's taking place. And I can't really peek down any further than that. But yeah, I mean, we're going to get stuff that's going to fall down here and it's going to come up and get all jammed up inside this area here. Now, as you can see, this skid plate, oh my gosh, look at that. Look how flexible this is. It's not really a skid plate. It's just kind of a cover that protects that lower exhaust, but it's not really very protective. Look how wiggly this thing is. Man, that is the #1 first upgrade that I would do, is I'd find some sort of engine protection and fuel tank protection. I'm sure somebody's going to come out with something relatively quickly, but hand guards, some sort of riser, protection down here, definitely a skid plate. Man, it's kind of crazy. I'm really not a fan of the way that that gas tank looks down there. I wish there was a different way to be able to put fuel lower, but that's what they found is going to work the best. We'll see. Another piece that definitely has to get upgraded is the exhaust. This skinny stainless steel bracket here, as you can see, it's just a couple little tack welds here. My 1190 broke twice. It broke this little weld right here. I replaced the bracket the first time, and then the second time I was out in the middle of nowhere when it came off. So Definitely a weak point. So I did the Yoshimura RS4 exhaust and really like it. Super stout mount up there at the top. I really like the fact that they didn't put some really long tail section on. It actually looks really clean. From the factory, I think that's the cleanest tail section that I've seen on any of these bikes. I really dig that. Let's come down here. Take a look at that. The amount of room that the knobby tire takes up. Now, mud getting caught up in this rear fender guard might be an issue as well. Only time will tell. There's really not a whole lot of room there. That could potentially be an issue in sticky mud that can't clear out very well. The high fender on the Adventure R is quite nice. So what happens when you get into deep mud on these adventure bikes? You run into a problem, and that problem is the fact that you're going to get mud that's going to stick to the tire and jam up in between the fender and the tire here, stopping forward momentum. I've been on a couple different trips now where we've actually had to bust the tools out and take this thing off, clean it, and put it back on, or just take it off and strap it to the back of the bike and deal with it later. The high front fender that we have on the Adventure R model, that's going to keep that from happening. It's a really good feature. I like it a lot. Some of the guys out there have also done riser kits where they basically taken this whole shenanigans and moved it up 2 inches so that you have about this much gap between the front tire and the top of that, that fender. That is a good solution as well. But yeah, just not quite enough distance here if you're looking to hit some really sloppy deep mud that's going to stick to the tires and not clean off as easily as it should fling off. Foot pegs, there's a screw underneath here that you can remove those rubber caps really easily, so you end up with a serrated metal foot peg, which is quite nice. I definitely find some sort of luggage rack that's going to bolt on the back and make your platform stick out a little bit further out here so that you can easily rest a bag back there without it kind of flopping down and hitting your turn signals. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, some sort of crash guard or protection that comes up here is going to be imperative. If you take a look, the radiator comes all the way out to this very edge. So if you hit a rock right here, this is definitely going to go in. It's going to bend that fan up and potentially puncture your radiator. That would be a bummer. Now, a nice feature is the fact that if you wanted a taller windscreen, you can swap the Adventure windscreen for the Adventure R windscreen. Just a couple bolts and you can basically take that whole piece and just swap one to the other. I'm really surprised at how close that shock mount on the top of the swing arm is to that rear tire though. It's actually surprising. Chain guard here. Shock cover is kind of nice from keeping the shock from getting all gummed up. Wow, look how easy it will be to remove the rear foot pegs. Only just 3 bolts. I know that will be a big feature for some guys that absolutely want those rear passenger pegs removed quickly. Skid plate for sure. Some sort of engine guard protection here would be nice too. Maybe a carbon fiber plate that's going to cover this and protect it, both on the shift side and what does this side look over here? All this side's nice. It's really high up. It's actually nice. Just got to make sure you protect that head pipe so it doesn't get smashed. Because dude, if you hit a big rock right here, as much flex as this skid plate has, dude, you're definitely either going to puncture a hole with this bolt right here or just completely dent that thing up and restrict the airflow of your exhaust pipe. Now, I haven't taken these apart yet to take a look and see if the seats are swappable one to the other. But as you can see, this seat over here is currently in the high position. You can see how it comes around. There's a large gap right there underneath the seat. It can actually go down almost another inch, so it will sit flush down in that little valley right there. 12-volt socket's in a really interesting spot. I really wish they'd find a way to put that 12-volt socket. I mean, I understand that the dash panel right here is there, but I wish they would find a way to put the 12-volt socket up here on the handlebar so that where you mount your phone at, which a lot of guys are going to the handlebar, not up to where this instrument cluster is, that would be a really short cord that you could just have a plug right there next to your phone mount. That'd be convenient, actually. Let's see what this thing sounds like. There you have it, just a quick walk around of these two motorcycles and what I think needs to get swapped out immediately before you leave the dealership or really quickly after. These are phenomenal machines. They're going to be used in extreme situations, so you need to make sure you're protected before you drop the bike and break something that might limit your ability to get home. I'm Bradshaw, and I really appreciate the fact that you tuned in to watch today. If you haven't already, please hit that like button if you liked what you saw today. And if you want more action like this coming directly to your inbox, please hit that subscribe button and, more importantly, the notification bell so you can be part of the notification squad. Until next time, and as always, take care and ride safe out there.